See if it works. How's it going? It's currently a black screen on. There we go. Cool. YouTube's got a delay of like 10 seconds. Man. All right. That looks good though. There we go. Cool. All right. So here's an example. I need to add my AI window thing on screen. And I cannot read. It's probably good. Whoops. Just adjusting some of the windows here. Bro Dazzle, come on. There we go. Cool. Now I will transition that to the live view. Again, nice thing about OBS is that you can stage changes when you're using studio mode. All right. I want to make file new project. Do I have a WinForms? Is it this one or is it this one? I don't know which one. Let me see. File open. Here for a second. Open project. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to close that. All right. Let's see what this is. Actually, whoops. Switch back to that. You know, I never know if it's going to show anything I don't want to flash on screen here. So, project properties. I'm using dot. Oh no, this is an old one. That's .NET Framework 4.8. I think I'm going to use version 8, something like that. Let's not do that one. Let's do this. .NET Framework version 8, Windows application, WinForms. Yeah, it doesn't say. I think I'm just going to have to guess and see if it's the right one. Let's try the, let me see. Windorf. Yeah, why don't this say? Like these are Windows Forms app, Windows Forms app.net framework. What? Control library, class library. Which one? Let's do the generic one. Let's call it extractor. My spelling abilities are not the most amazing, so let me see how things are spelled. Is that correct? I think so. Okay, that's correct. So this, I think this is the one. LTS, long-term support, .NET, version 8. Got my Relax Bear, Hojicha, green tea. Very nice. Cool. So, all right. I want to make a C# WinForms app. Goal is like, what is it even called? Target framework. Mm. Mm. Says, oh, YouTube is saying the stream's current bitrate is higher than recommended. Interesting. Hmm. 11 minutes. All right. I don't think there's much I can do about that at the moment. As I go in and try to change the thing, which I kind of doubt it's going to let me do anything. Stream. Yeah, it's locked. Oh well. Hmm. I mean, if I had like a server that I was pushing stuff to, that would make sense, but I don't. So I don't think I can change the bit right now. I'm going to extract the entry titles as well as the content from each entry in the file. This is an example here. Let me see. I mean, this wouldn't be that difficult to write myself, honestly, because there are a ton of libraries for doing XML extraction. So it's probably not going to be much. What is this enclosure thing? Blogger trashed. How does it save discarded articles? Sorry, I don't want to show my... Oh, it's just part of the entry. All right. And then it's got these. Just a little example for it. So part of the thing I want to do is deal with this, because that's just not great. All of the HTML, what is it called? Escape characters, or escape, whatever these are called. So and amp semicolon is ampersand, and then I'm not sure what that is, but this is less than, greater than symbol, stuff like that. but it's got links in here. So I want to deal with that as well. There's my, whoops. The goal is to I know I said this already at the top, but a few examples. Whoops, or find another example just in case. Ampersand. And it's just anchor links. Think what else? What else? I don't need clean and simplified content text. Yeah, that's probably good. Do. So you can just give it the thing and see what it does. Give it the thing. Paste. Do I need to give it context? Let me think. No. Why is it complaining? Oh. Sure. This very pleasant hojicha from Dido. Cute, relaxed bear. There's the English. Okay, use a different name. I think. Oh, yeah. I might have to correct it. Or I could just, yeah. Whatever. It's not much text. Paste. What? Bro. All right. So we need a button. I'm just gonna using a rich text box content. So mention which ones it wants. I should have told it specifics. So it would have been a little easier. And the thing is, if I keep modifying it, I need to correct it because otherwise it's going to use its own, like the form name in the namespace. So it wants a button, a rich text box, and an open file dialog component. Button, rich text. It's interesting, it didn't specify names here. Interesting. So got that. And this one is called this. And then this one is called that. I also want to have it follow the size of the window. Let's just do vertical scroll bar. And then this one's going to be... What? I thought I changed that. Okay, that's kind of irritating. To go into the thing here, save that. There we go. I think it deleted the other one. It's like magic. All right. So just looking at what code it made, we have button click. So this is an event, if you're unfamiliar. This is Visual Studio 2022. Yeah, 2022. And WinForms programming, so Windows Forms programming, which is a visual style. I've done this for a long time. I prefer it. It's simple. It's functional. You have a list of components, basically, like visual interface components. There's labels, there's menu strips, picture boxes, buttons, and all of these things have properties, they have events. So in this case, this rich text box has properties and events, and you can do a few other things with it. But if I click on that and then look on the side panel, which is kind of hidden by the chat thing, I can hide that for a second. So we've got these properties down here for this rich text box, and we can see, you can specify anchoring of it to the main form, the visual. This is called a form, the main thing. Whoops. But I click back on the text box. Yeah, so these are properties. Various things you can set, assign, change, whatever you want to do. And then there are events. So this is a ton of, like, trying to think of what wording I can use. A lot of things that will happen based on user input. So if a user clicks on this component, this form control, they're called controls, I think. Then that event will fire off, and then you can have code behind it. So you've got mouse moving over it. So you can kind of like in your brain start to think, okay, if I move my mouse over this control, I might want to have a little icon follow the mouse around. And you can do stuff like that if you want. Or if you're doing a very, very simple game, you wouldn't do it with a text box, most likely, but there are picture boxes which you can draw into. Some of my earlier programming stuff was using Visual Basic, which is a different form of programming language than C#. So you've got C, C++, C#, Visual Basic, Visual Basic. It's more wordy, but that's the one I started with for the most part. Actually, I had a hand-me-down Commodore 64, and that had basic programming. And in the manual that the computer it was a hand-me-down. So I mean, I had the manual anyways from the people that gave it to us. But in the manual, I had basic programming tutorials, which is pretty cool when you think about it. A computer coming with programming tutorials. Anyways, that was my first attempt as a kid. But then once I got a Windows 95 computer, which was a long time after that, I think it was 96 or 90, like late 96 or early 1997. I got my first Windows computer. And that was probably pretty early on. I remember I wanted to, for whatever reason, I think I wanted to make games. So I had this computer, doing whatever on it. Early on, when I got the computer, it was a Toshiba Pentium 166 MMX. So it was kind of like a revision of the Pentium series with added extensions for multimedia stuff. But anyways, I remember a friend from school, I must have told him that I got a computer. And actually, he might have been kind of the motivation. Talking to him in school, maybe a little bit. But there are probably a bunch of other reasons. But my grandfather, which I didn't know like for a long time. I mean, he passed away early on, that's what I'm saying. So my memories of him are like super strong. But on my mother's side, he had a CD for my sister and me, separate. And then I used that money to buy the computer, is what I'm saying. So that was nice. I was able to use that at one point to get a computer. And like I said, that was Windows 95. And originally, I remember the friend coming over and he taught me about the more questionable things of using a computer to acquire content. I mean, not really content, but acquire software through unique means. So he was teaching me about that stuff because I remember him coming over, and at the time there was something called a zip drive. It was 100 megabytes per disc. It wasn't really a disc. I mean, it had a disc inside, but it was a plastic case. I could show an example. So I remember him bringing that over and giving me a bunch of software that he acquired. Yeah, so this is a zip drive. I had one of these eventually. That's the disc. That's 100 megabytes. They did eventually have a higher capacity version, but I didn't get into it. Anyways, some of the earlier stuff was like that, acquiring stuff. And I remember, I think some of that stuff had viruses in it that I eventually figured out. So, not the smartest idea to take random software from a friend that probably, he was smart and he knew a lot, but even he, I don't think, well, maybe the virus stuff came later. I could be wrong. But I remember at one point, it might have been stuff I was downloading after he showed me like how to do stuff. But anyways, it was not the smartest to download random stuff on the internet. Yeah, so they eventually had a 250 megabyte version. But like I said, I only had the parallel port version of this thing. It looked like this. And parallel port's very slow. That's not even, it doesn't even exist on computers anymore. Most likely, probably, there might be some specialty motherboards that still have it. Yeah. But generally, I don't think that port is on anything anymore. So that's what the parallel port was. It was originally for printers. So you would put into the computer for this one, and then you would connect the printer to this one. So it's a pass-through setup. Yeah. There's a parallel port cable. So that, I guess they hit a 750 at some point. That's interesting. Zip CD. Plex Store? I remember this one. Early Zip CD model drives were labeled to Philips, which were also so unreliable. Really. But at least at the time, this was one of the better options for a decent amount of storage. Because CDs generally were like write once. There might have been rewritable CDs at the time. Not sure. But I mean, they got into that stuff as well. The thing is, the computer had a CD drive in it, but it was just like a regular. It didn't do anything special. It was probably slow too. Anyways, Visual Basic. That was the first programming language on Windows that I used. It was like Visual Basic version 5 or something in the development environment. So it's at this point, it's very similar in base functionality as any .NET based language thing, or whatever you want to call it. So I could technically be doing Visual Basic programming just like this, but I prefer C# at this point for this stuff. Anyways, I don't know what I was trying to say there. But yeah, so you have events, and there's code behind it, in this case with the WinForms programming. So when someone clicks on that button, this gets called. And then inside here, we have a using statement. This using statement is just it's, I don't know the technicals. It's good for file access and things because it containerizes a file access thing and it should automatically close the file. I don't know like if there are situations where it won't, but generally using statements, stuff like that are a good idea for that. So it's using that. And you also get the benefit of easier access to these objects when you use the using statement. So when inside here, you can reference it pretty easily. I mean, it doesn't look like any any shorter of, let me see. I don't think I can do that. Does that work? No. I'd have to look up like the details. I shouldn't be trying to say what it does and such when I don't know the specifics. Whoops. Back up. I'll let the AI describe it. All right. So it says in C#, using statement provides a convenient way to ensure that an object is properly disposed of. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say at one point. Once it's no longer needed. The primary purpose is to manage resources, especially unmanaged resources like handles, database connections, network sockets, files. Automatic cleanup works with iDisposable, which is a base object of the .NET stuff. Simplifies code. Try finally. So yeah, here's a good example. Using string writer is a built .NET framework object, or it might be some other piece of the system. So you're making this object, the writer object, and you're filling it with the string writer. You know, it's the same thing. But this here is the constructor for that, and it's taking most likely a specific file that you're passing it, and it opens that file and it creates this object with the opened file so that you could do step inside with it. And if you were not to do this, you would want to close this by hand, the stream writer. I'm sure there's some type of function to close it, but doing this using statement, I guess, automatically does it. So it's just a smarter way. Or like writer.dispose, yeah. So it's a little bit different. This dispose function is, again, one of those built-in things, most likely. But inside here probably has all of the code to close it and such. Yeah. Get rid of that. All right. So now it's doing a filter for this file dialog. This is a specific thing for this control. So it's specifying the type, which this is wrong. It's actually a .atom. So let me look at the yeah, it's feed.atom. Yeah, that's probably fine. Or you can do all files. All right. So it's, again, this is another built-in thing here, language thing. Try-catch loops, or I mean, not loop, but try-catch is a container to deal with errors of any sort. So if one of these, if this function, for example, were to, I don't know if any of these would actually crash that. If this function were to somehow pass back an error up the chain, it would hit into here and then jump into the catch. So an exception. Yeah, so then things happen if that happens. It's a decent way, I guess you could say, to deal with that type of thing. But this is kind of a catch-all. Funny, right? Catch-all. But it's not necessarily the best idea to do general try-catch like that. Because then you're not going to necessarily know. I mean, it's going to give you specifics through the message, at least. So that's good. Anyways. So here, it's finding all of the entries inside that Blogger Atom XML based file. And it's finding the title and the content for each one. And it's creating our final result. So it says title, and it puts the title information, and then it's got a function to clean the content, which is what I asked it to do. Inside here, we can see what it's doing. So it takes the entire content tag information and what's inside of it, and then it checks it for null, empty. It uses a built-in .NET framework, well, system.net.web utility class. And then there's a function inside there called HTML decode. So this converts a string that has been HTML encoded for HTTP transmission into a decoded string. We'll see if that's the correct thing that I'm looking for. Probably, because it's specifying stuff here. It says replace list items with asterisks. So it's converting the HTML list tags into a little asterisk. It's doing some text replacement stuff here. So that $1 is going to work with. Yeah, there's quite a bit going on here, and you need to know or be familiar with programming to like understand what is going on. So the @ symbol here is part of the IDE, kind of. I don't know if it's a language specific. So all this does is allow you to have things on multiple lines. And I think it also, yeah, I should let the AI describe it. It'll do a better job. Okay, it's really talking here. So it says verbatim string literals. Multi-line strings without escaping the characters. Verbatim string literals. So you can see it there. So you can see it's on multiple lines here. This is a string that spans multiple lines. That's what the @ symbol does there. No escape sequences. Disables the processing of escape sequences like new line, tab, backslash, whatever that is. So it's kind of weird. To include a double quote character inside a verbatim string, you simply double it up. So if you want quotes around this hello world, you've got the external quotes, but then you have doubled quotes. How's it going? Just doing a little bit of programming. I'm pretty good. How are you? So right now I'm making a script that cleans a Blogger, which is Google's host for websites where you can do article-based websites. But I want to take all of my article text and just clean it and potentially use that as context for AI so that I can hopefully make articles based on my videos that sound more like me, if that makes sense. I'm just curious. I want to see if it helps. So generally, what I've been doing, I make videos for YouTube and stuff. I mean, not for YouTube, but on YouTube, and in photography, tech, even food reviews and things like that. But then I've lately been making website articles based on my videos. So I use caption data to facilitate that. And a lot of the time it doesn't write in a way that I would write. So I have to spend a lot of time adjusting it to make it sound more like what I would write. So I'm hoping that if I can give it the context of my own writing, it'll do a better job. We'll see. So I'm kind of at step 1 of that idea. I'm just making a little script, which again I'm kind of used to using AI stuff now to facilitate and just make programming faster. So for example, I wrote up this request to make the thing deal with the Blogger XML. It's in an Atom file. I don't know why they call it Atom specifically. That must just be a certain format of a type of XML based log of, the articles on Blogger. But I'm sure it's more general. So I'm just having it extract the title as well as the content tag for each article in there. And then I also need to deal with all of this HTML formatting and escape characters and links and bullet lists and everything that's in here. Which I don't know if I told it to deal with the HTML. We'll see. I might have to fix that. But I'll get to that once I try it out. So this is the code that it gave me. It's pretty simple. I probably could have written it myself relatively quickly, but the thing is the AI is pretty dang smart at anticipating things that I might not know I need to do initially. But I mean, eventually, as you do programming, you start to envision things you need to do from a step-by-step process. But yeah, the AI is pretty good at doing things that I might not necessarily think of first. So you want to make an AI so that it can write better blog scripts for you. Are the user articles? Yeah, I can show a quick example. Oops. So for example, all of these articles on my photography website, these are based on videos that I've made. So here's the video. I have caption data for the video, and I use that in addition to the actual video with the Gemini Pro. They have an AI Studio thing, which you can give it text, you can give it YouTube videos, and it actually looks at the video and what's inside of it. But the captions are more of the important part. So in the caption data, it's everything that I'm saying in the video. So it gives the AI a ton of context of what the article should be about and all of the information in the article. So for example, this is a Polaroid camera article based on the video. And I had it generate a lot of this text here. And it actually, my prompt pulls out potential frames. And I have a video editor script that I extract those frames and make JPEG images from. But that's a whole different thing. So I want this text here to sound more like me. Most, hopefully more of the time than less. So I don't have to edit as much when I go through it and change it and fix it up. Yeah. All of this is with the hope that I can just do more and do things faster and have more avenues of things. So the video, the website article, there was a really long amount of time where I just couldn't justify spending the time on writing articles for the website because having to write this entire thing by hand, every little detail, pick all of the pictures, all of that stuff would take a lot of time. So at the very least, it's been helpful enough so far to make it viable, even though I still need to edit quite a bit. So I'm trying to go from stage 1 to stage 2 of the effort. Yeah. We'll see if it works. Or helps, I should say. So that's where I'm at on that. This is probably good. We'll see if it runs. So all I'm doing here is just making a little program to clean up the big, huge thing of my past articles so that I can give it to the AI and as context of how I write. So we'll see if it works. Yeah, switch to full cam for a second here. Just in case. Where did I put that? Yeah. Right. It's a lot. The goal is just to try to do things quicker and do more stuff. Because if you ever get into producing stuff for the internet, there's a lot of competition and there's just a lot of people. So I'm trying to make as much as I can to appeal to as many potential readers or viewers as possible. Because not everyone wants to watch a video, right? People prefer to read a lot of the time. I'm the same way. There's certain, if I'm on a phone, I don't want to necessarily watch a video. But reading an article might be interesting. If I'm at a restaurant or whatever, I'd prefer an article. All right. Right now I'm just finding that blogger article thing. I'm going to open it up in this program and see if it does anything. copy this so I can more easily get to it in the future. Put it into new. Dash. All right. Go into desktop. Yeah, the website has 430 something articles at this point, and the files over 5 megabytes. A bunch of text and stuff, so it wouldn't be viable for me to try to do it by hand. Let's see. Where is the desktop? There it is. Streaming. All right. I should have. Oh. Whoops. Let's see. There we go. That's a lot. Yeah. So it looks like it worked. So here's the title for an article. And I wanted to just have it really simple, just mostly just text. And then here's the article text. Next one, title, article text. Okay, there are YouTube links in here. I don't know if I want those in there. Title. So it's got lists. It did remove the HTML, it looks like, which is good. Yeah, I think that's probably good enough. Let me see if I can even copy this from here. Notepad. New. Oh, there's a little happy face. This doesn't look right. Why is it doing that? Double. Okay, this is a really old article. Maybe it was just super short. Eason. Oh, I've got a typo in there. Might as well fix it. Yeah. Didn't put a space in. That's weird. I think it might be messing up some of the formatting in the sense that it's not putting spaces. Yeah. Let me go back to the AI and have it fix things up. I think I might start a new chat window just because I was getting some information about programming as I was talking. Let me hide that for a second and start a new window. Get my text prompt. So I need to specify I think I'll just give it the code as it is. So that should be enough context for it to just augment this for me. there is an issue with formatting, at least in the rich text box. I don't know how to spell separated. I think that's right. Properly. So if we go back to here for a second, this and this. Oh, me either. I'm not sure what I was saying. Oh, the spelling, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty old and I never learned how to spell some words. Or remember, the specifics about it. Let's see, you can see that I mean, I could figure this out myself, but I feel like this is more amusing than let the AI do it. And it's probably faster too. All right. I'm going to make a new AI thing. Again, this is Google AI Studio, which is aistudio.google.com. They have a bunch of models that you can use. And the nice thing about the one that I use on there, it's called Gemini Pro 2.5. It has a million token context window, which is massive. So, I mean, you can do so much with it. I wouldn't say it's probably the best out there. It's smart, but generally I've found that if I can give it enough context on a thing, it's pretty decent at helping me. All right. So we've got that. So for example, just this, that's 3,315 tokens for it. Let me put this window back on. Push that. So there's the Google AI Studio window. I've got my prompt in here that I just changed, and it's got the entire bit of code that it needs. Let's run that. Oh, guess it wants URL context. All right. Yeah, I don't know how much it would cost to, like, compute-wise, to use this if I were paying, but it's probably pretty expensive. So it says, of course, to resolve this, adjust the clean HTML content method to be more strategic about how it handles block level HTML elements like paragraphs, headings, and list items to ensure the space or new line is inserted in their place. This will separate the text. Yeah. Here's updated code. So it looks like I can just copy paste. And it also looks like it used Yeah, use the correct namespace. That's good. Use the correct form name, because my original one didn't do those. I never told it the namespace, but it used like form main or something instead of default. All right, so this should just be a copy paste operation. We'll save it, build it. All right, run it. So I'm going to go into Facecam for a second so I can select my file. Open file. Well, I can show this. Yeah, so here's the dialog that pops up. There's the feed.atom. Let's open that. All right, I'm gonna copy this, go back into here, paste the new one, and then just scroll around and see if it does look like it added more formatting. So I think what happened here is that I might still have a table, like an HTML table or something, and it's obviously not showing the pictures, which I'm not concerned about the pictures for this. It converted. Okay, saying, yeah, since the AI has arrived, we mostly get sorry, my little screen. I'll show it the example of what I'm trying to read from. This tiny little screen. So I have two bigger screens, but yeah. So there's a Twitch one, there's a YouTube one. I'll try to get it closer to my face so I can hopefully read it a bit better. You're saying using the AI to code, but honestly, you're doing great. All right, thanks. All right, this looks pretty good. It's got the thing for lists, which is what I want. These are probably ones that I added for that article. That's fine. This is fine. Oh, you're English? Oh no, it's all good. Do you do programming? Like what type of programming do you do? Yeah, this looks good. Yeah, I think that's functional enough that I can use it. Save as. Put that into desktop. There it is. All right, so I've got that. Let me see how big it is. It's a 1.8 megabyte text file. That should be fine. I don't think I'm gonna have an issue with context on that one. So that works. Very easy. Nice little script, basically. I prefer csharp.net WinForm stuff because I'm so used to it. I like the simple interface and all that good stuff. That's generally why I use this to program in, because I'm used to it. I'm sure there's easier, like Python scripts or whatever. Probably be a nice option for people as well. So we've got that. I'm going to do an example here of the other stuff. Switch that. All right. Go to YouTube. Go to my current video. So it's a video about doing product photography of a little pen case that I was sent. I'm going to download actually I might already have the captions downloaded. I'm saying I just got into programming and I'm trying to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I've tried C#, but I think it's better to start small and then get into the higher levels. JavaScript will get you some of that, but I wouldn't say that JavaScript's an easy language to learn on the higher level. Just doing the basic stuff, it's similar to the formatting and such of C++, just like with the brackets and the curly braces and all that cool stuff. So I mean, it's fine. You don't necessarily want to learn a language. You want to learn the computer science things. I wouldn't say I'm a good teacher, so it would be hard for me to suggest. I mean, I know you're not asking me, but suggest a way to go about it initially. At the very least, with HTML and JavaScript and things, you can learn how to visually place things on the screen. And I do feel like that type of stuff is super fiddly. And I don't know if it would be good from like helping you learn logic and all that stuff too. But if you enjoy it and you feel like you're getting somewhere with it, then definitely continue that path. But for example, so the JavaScript stuff will look a little bit similar to this because it's got the curly braces and all that. But yeah, there's a lot of things you need to know to kind of get into this. Anyways, I'm going to show, if you have like difficulties that you're currently facing or unsure about, I can try to help. Like potentially a way that might make it easier to understand. But so I have a YouTube video and now I want to convert it into an article. I just made this script. Now we've got all of the old article text to hopefully provide context to the AI so it writes more like me. And that's kind of the goal. So now I'm going to do an example of this and see how well it works by giving that extra context. I am pretty curious to see how it'll work. So I need to get my caption data and then I need to give it a YouTube link and make a new chat. I'm still using the same AI model. It's Gemini Pro. So you're saying, what kind of language do you suggest I should learn? It isn't necessarily a language. It's because a lot of them are very similar. It's more of the concepts of it. Now you can just pick one. C#, Python. The thing is, some of the languages like C# are more structured in the sense that you've got a variable, a thing that stores information. Generally, the variable is going to have a specific type, a number or a piece of text or something like that. And I personally prefer that style of programming rather than just putting whatever you want into a variable. I think that's a more structured and logical way to do programming a lot of the time. So I honestly don't know the specifics of Python, but that's generally one that people use a lot for AI and similar stuff. Is Python a typed language? Let's see. Just confirming something. So Python, according to the Google AI, is a dynamically typed language for variables. So it happens at runtime instead of compile time. But C#, for example, you're going to you'll usually specify what the variable should have inside. So for example, this line here, let me see if I can zoom in. Oh, that's a little too much. Let's do 150. So this line here that says string file path equals open file dialog dot file name. So this is a variable, and it's a thing to store something in, and it's a string type variable. So a string is a piece of text, potentially a character, but it's not a number. It can be a number, but it's going to be a string version of a number. So that's with C#. I think it's more logical for variables to have specific types. I prefer that. With JavaScript, with Python, they're dynamically typed. So it's not as structured. I think it's harder personally to understand and deal with because you're putting whatever you want, wherever you want. And yeah, I don't personally prefer that. So I think C# is a great language to start with, is what I'm saying. Because it's very, very well designed. I'm sure there's a lot of other options too that are even better. I just don't have the background or knowledge because I've basically stuck to things that work, and I haven't tried any of the newer things. Like I think Rust is a language. Let me see, what is Rust? Statically typed. Yeah, so this is statically typed usually. The thing is, C# has the ability to do dynamically typed variables or dynamic variables, but it's a little bit different. So Rust could potentially be an option. I just don't have experience with it to say if it's a better option than C# to start with as a tool for you to learn programming. Because it isn't necessary, like I said, it's not necessarily helpful for you to just learn C# and then it's more of the concepts than the language specifics. But yeah. See if Rust is an interesting option for you. Let's see. Yeah, there might even be things that are outside of programming that you can go through, like more conceptual things that'll give you the idea of logic and the general structures of programming and things like that you could start off with. I'd probably do some internet searches to look for that. Compute. As whoops. IN. Let's see. Let's see what the AI says. Coding for a visual learner, how to use diagrams, flowcharts. Any computer science concepts, visual examples. I don't necessarily mean visual programming, but that might be one option. Like flowcharts and things like that. The thing that I did in the 90s was a programming language called Visual Basic, and I did buy a thick old book and just went through the tutorials. So I mean, it's fine, and hopefully whatever tutorials you're using are pushing the concepts well enough. So yeah, I guess that could be okay, but I wouldn't necessarily just focus on, say, YouTube tutorials or some video thing, but more so like structured, well written tutorials. So potentially the route of books, because books are more edited usually, and would hopefully have more of that conceptual stuff in it. But you'd probably have to look around. I don't have any specific examples of what might be a good book. And this is not where I'm. Mm. I'm sorry, I don't know any specific options at the moment. I can look around at some point. Maybe I'll do another stream on how, getting started. That could be super useful. All right. I'm going to do an example of this article thing. Again, using the AI to help me convert my videos into website articles. Hopefully is similar to me writing as possible. So I've got another chat prompt. This is Gemini Pro 2.5 in aistudio.google.com. It's free and it's pretty impressive. And I'm going to get my caption data and add that to the chat. I'll show this in a second. Once I just get a few things here. Let's see. Let's go into. I have a bunch of AI prompts that I've written, and I just save them because I use them a lot. Actually, the AI stuff itself might be good to suggest like smarter routes of learning, because I'm sure it's been trained on all of that. Probably from Reddit and Stack Overflow or whatever that website is called. Similar stuff. Tutorial websites. All right. I've got this pretty large prompt for this website article task. Put that in there. And let's see. Oops. Sorry, I've got Some they're saying, I just don't know, like, people say that I don't have to learn all of the language, but I just need to understand it and be a problem solver. But that to me means learn the whole language. Yeah. Yeah, I think C# is a good option. So you want to do software and game programming. Yeah. There's a bunch of game APIs, or I don't know the specific term, but there are a bunch of well-known APIs that should work with C#. There might be some specific languages that would be just game programming type options as well. I'm not familiar with what's available, but C# there are definitely game APIs you could look into, like what's the big one? Unreal Tournament. What's Epic? Is it Epic Games? Unreal Engine. Let me see what that's written in. Unreal Engine programming. So it uses C++. I'm pretty sure it's Unreal Engine 5. No. Let's go to Google. Primarily uses C++ programming language for game development. Well, you can utilize scripting with blueprints, C++. Okay, so it looks like C++ is the thing for Unreal Engine, but I'm pretty sure there's one for C#. C#. Just can't remember the... Unity. Yeah, so Unity would be a potential option down the line. But, you know, it's going to be definitely, yeah, Unreal Engine 5. It's going to be a process to get up to the point of using these APIs. So here's a nice little code example. But I mean, at one point you'd probably want to look into seeing which one would be more flexible, and if you're interested in like trying to sell games, you'd have to look at the licensing and potential expense of using a well-known engine. I'm not sure what their licensing is. Plans and pricing. And so it says personal use free. Published to web, desktop, AR, VR, and mobile. Hundreds of hours of courses. So it doesn't say like revenue share. So you can't deploy to game consoles unless you pay huge amounts of money. It's not ideal. Yeah, there are probably better options. I think there's an open source game API, or probably 10. All right, let's see what it gets. Now we've got Go. Okay, yeah, I've heard of this one. Monogame. This is a C# one. Yeah. So the Godot engine, 2D, 3D, and then it's Python like, so it looks like its own script. C#, C++, defold, Lua programming. So this Lua could be a potential option to learn. I don't know it. This is a lightweight, high-level, multi-paradigm programming language designed for embedded use in applications. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, there's so many options. It's tough to pick. But if you're more interested in applications and game programming, I don't think HTML and JavaScript are necessarily a good first option unless you specifically want to develop games for inside the browser, which I guess you can do if you're into that. Yeah. So many options. So I'd say probably I haven't done game programming in a long time, but I'd probably look into this Godot one. This might be an interesting option. So it's open source. You don't have to pay stupid fees and stuff like Unreal Engine and the other one, most likely. Let's see if I can find a quick example. Keep your code modular, object-oriented API. So it's got its own scripting language, but you can also use C#, C++. It looks good. Open source. Released on all platforms. It's also good. Dedicated 2D engine. 2D is definitely going to be easier to get started with than 3D stuff. See if they have there's a docs showcase. Let's see. So here's some games that people have made with this. It's cool. See if they have a simple tutorial. Introduction. System requirements. Getting started. Your first 2D game. All right. I mean, once you figure out like the super basics, I would start with C#, like I said, and finding some type of tutorial or a book just to give you the really basics, if statements, case statements, loops, certain types of loops, data structures, variables, collections, which is a group of types of data. There's structures, again, ways to form data. Anyways, all of the standard things from a programming language and doing all that. Then I would say go for this, the Godot, and then go through these tutorials, because then you would kind of understand C# well enough, and then you could hopefully apply the basics to all of this with their API. I think that would be a pretty fun route. But again, trying to find that starter information for C#. But you could also potentially look into their own scripting language. I just don't know like what it does or how it works. Or you could go C++. I mean, honestly, I think C++ is harder to deal with, harder to use, and harder to understand than C#. Because it's older. It's just as functional, but I think it's harder to read, harder to understand. So that's why I prefer C#. It's just my opinion, though. Because most of the hardcore game programming and stuff will be C++, most likely. So maybe eventually you'll get to that level where you feel like you need to use C++ if you really get into it. All right. Before I end stream, I'm going to do a quick test. If I can find my chat prompt. There it is. So I've got this prompt that I've made to do website articles. It basically is, I'm telling it to read the caption data for the video. I'm telling it to look at the YouTube video itself, look at the frames. And I ask it for text. Oh, I appreciate your recommendation. I'll try C# and then learn C++ to ensure good future programming after HTML and stuff. Oh, but after it, yeah, sounds good. Oh, you want to make your own website? Okay, yeah, sounds good. Nice. Hopefully it works out well for you. All right. So I'm going to upload the captions. That's good. And then I'm going to add the YouTube video. I need to find that. Oops. Oh, I need to get my link again. Yeah, the awesome thing about programming, is that it's whatever you can imagine for the most part. You can apply those skills and make something. I think that's super awesome. And with the AI stuff now, it's honestly potentially so much easier. Not to say that the AI stuff is good, but once you have a strong base of programming and computer science knowledge, then you can use your skills to kind of work with the AI to direct it in ways that it can help you. Because if you don't understand this stuff yourself, the computer science stuff, I think it's going to be difficult for you to use AI effectively. I've found that if I didn't know a bunch of programming and software development stuff, I wouldn't have been able to use the AI stuff as well. Because it's kind of like using a potentially really skilled animal or something, but you still need to know how to direct it and train it. Because it's not necessarily smart, but it's really skilled. It can be. And it can look at a lot of stuff that humans can't do easily because we're limited in those ways. Yeah. Thanks. So I'm going to show an example. Whoops. That's not what I need. Yeah, I've got all of the coding stuff ready. So I already did that, but now I'm showing an example of what I do with it. So it's basically good to go. And I'm going to give it the new context that I created, which is that big text file. Where did I put it? Desktop, streaming. Let's open that. Let's see how many tokens this uses. It's probably quite a bit. So at the bottom here, it jumped up to 565,318 tokens with the caption data, the YouTube video, and my other text. Delete that. Make sure I'm showing the... Yeah, that's in there. All right, I need to modify this text. Let me do this outside of that little window. Where is Notepad? Here it is. Close that. Need that. So here's the prompt. I need to modify this. There's a file. Let's see what I called it. Called I'm just a little bit concerned it might try to use this for the article, but we'll see. So the formatting is very simple. We've got this. And I want to use but rather how I write sound on paper. Not sure how else I can say that. This is a typo. Whoops, narrowly. Is that not how you spell it? There we go. Okay, that might be enough. We'll see. I'm going to save that. Put it into here. Paste it in there. So we've got our prompt, we've got our caption data, YouTube video, and the new thing. We'll see if it works. So this is a pretty big... Oops, let me turn on URL context. This is a pretty big amount of tokens. Although I'm only about a little over half of available tokens. In the future, I might need to just like cut down on the number of articles that I'm giving it, because I just gave it like 400 plus articles of my writing style. which might be a little too much. Because it's clearly taking a long time. All right. Refining article, formatting the content, planning. See what we got. All right. Pop a blogger window. Oh, I think maybe I'll wait to do that. All right, so here is the output. Whoops. Scroll down. So this is the article text. I'm going to take this, and then you can see it gave me a bunch of timestamps. This is what I asked it to do, because I can use those timestamps and generate the photos, the JPEG images. So I'm going to take this and see how it reads. Pull up Notepad again. New. Paste. So I was recently sent a Hanjin leather pen case from an ad agency that wanted me to do something about it. What better way to feature a product like this than to do full product photoshoot? In this article, I'll walk you through the entire process. Okay. That's a caption. The product itself is very nice roll-up style case. On the inside, it's 2 different areas for pens, pencils. Pen case is open. That relates to this image. Here's a run. I don't know if I ever say rundown. Here's a rundown of gear. Here's a variety of prime lenses to get different looks. 28, 40 and an 85. I'm not thrilled with how it said that. Macro extension tubes. My lighting setup is dedicated area I have arranged for this kind of work. It consists of 2 continuous lights. Key light, Weelight Ninja 20 with a softbox. I set to 20% power. This creates clamshell style lighting, kind of. To create different scenes and moods, I use a variety of materials I picked up from a craft store. Sheets. I mean, it's not too bad. Next, I moved on to using background materials. Tried a colored cardstock and decided on a purple one. Yeah. Which I think created a nice color combination with the teal to pen case. Because the cardstock was small, I had to get very close, which made keeping everything in focus a challenge. Where depth of field is naturally very shallow, focus stacking is often necessary to render the entire subject sharp focus. All right. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a pretty big article, too. I'm not totally sure it helped, but hey, what I could do is not give it the context and see if it's better or worse. But I think I'm going to do that off stream because I'm going to head out. Anyways, that was a pretty fun session of trying to improve my work here with programming. But yeah, I'm going to head out. Peace. So turn this thing off so I don't forget. Cool. See ya.